Hello and welcome back to another episode of MC Airsoft. My name is Mark, and today we're going to be discussing LiPo batteries. Okay. Now, first things first, nothing I say during this video should be considered safety advice. I'm not responsible for you burning down your house. Okay. Follow the instructions on the batteries, on the chargers, on the whatever. Follow all your instructions. I'm not responsible if you burn down your house. Okay, now the scary part out of the way, because yes, do lipos burst into flames randomly? Not randomly, but they do burst into flames, right? Okay, we've all heard about the stories of them bursting into flames. There's a reason everyone who sells lipo batteries also sells lipo battery bags or boxes or something of that nature. They do burst into flames. Okay. But they've come a long way over the years. They've gotten a lot cheaper. They're starting to become kind of standard within the airsoft community. They've been standard within like RC car communities for a long time. For those of you who don't know, these are essentially RC cars mechanically. They share a lot of similarities, and that's kind of where they got their basis. When I started playing, a lot of people were getting upgrade parts from RC cars, or at least that were intended for RC cars. But so lipo batteries kind of came from that. Now, what is a lipo battery? Lithium polymer battery. Okay, so it's a lithium battery. Okay, same kind of batteries you use in like vape devices, same kind of batteries in your phone, things like that. So can they be stable? Yeah, 100%. Are they always stable? No. Okay, so you want to make sure a couple of things that I will recommend. Again, not safety advice. I'm not responsible for you burning down your house, but do not over drain your battery or your airsoft gun for that matter. I'm not responsible for you burning down your airsoft gun either. So don't over drain it. At very least, you're going to want to get a MOSFET that handles, that is something that will protect your trigger contacts and will tell you when your battery dies. Now, I won't be using one in today's video. I'll be testing two different batteries, both of them fully charged. I'm only firing a couple shots. I'm not going to drain them. Not going to drain the battery, so I'm not worried about it. And I'm not worrying too much about the trigger contacts because, again, I'm firing a couple shots. Normally, I do have a MOSFET, but for today, I'm going to not be using it. You want to charge it on something or in something that is burn proof, okay, or at least burn resistant. Ammo cans are a great thing for that, but any kind of metal box or burn proof bag is going to be fine. Most of the time these will vent and not burst into flames, but you know, at your own risk, right? But yeah, get a MOSFET, get a burn bag. Don't over drain your battery. And another thing is you'll want a smart charger. So something on the note of that, what I picked up is the Lancer Tactical Smart Charger. Comes with a little wall mount, doesn't really matter. Lancer Tactical Smart Charger, balanced charger. It also comes comes ready to charge either 2-cell or 3-cell batteries, which your battery will say whether it is 2-cell or 3-cell. Generally on the website, this one doesn't say it on the battery. I imagine it probably did on the box or instructions that came with it. But you have a plug that corresponds to one of these ports, and you plug it into the port it corresponds to. That being said, you cannot charge it through here. You have to charge it through this. This is your inlet. This is your outlet. Okay, so that is something to know. You cannot use your normal smart chargers, okay? So that is something to keep in mind. This was fairly inexpensive. Haven't had any issues with it. I think it was the cheapest one on Airsoft GI. I do most of my Airsoft shopping through Airsoft GI, so you might hear me mention them quite a bit. So I also picked up the battery through Airsoft GI, which this is the one rated for going in buffer tubes, because if it fits in a buffer tube, it probably fits in an AK just fine as well. And if it fits in a buffer tube, I can change around stocks. I can, again, throw it in there. I might even be able to fit it in an AEP. Okay, I haven't tried that yet. Thinking about getting an AEP, don't have one right now, but it's compatible. And also, if you think about running, your normal stick type battery, which lasts for a while, it's 1600 milliamps. Or at least this one is the butterfly type, which is shorter, but butterfly type is 1600 as well, at least the ones I have. So that is something you cannot do with Lipo, just toss them like that, or I definitely wouldn't recommend. Frankly, I wouldn't recommend it with any batteries, but whatever. So the Lipo is 1450. Okay, for those of you who don't know, voltage is how fast the motor is going to spin. The milliamps or mAh, milliamp hours, is how long it's going to spin for, provided you don't blow your motor. And then your C rating for Lipo is your discharge rate. So the higher that number, the higher it can handle. Not necessarily that it will discharge at that rate, but that's how much it's going to handle. So if you have a high torque or high speed motor, it's going to draw more energy, and that energy is your discharge rate, right? If your motor draws too much energy for your battery, it's going to over discharge the battery. It's going to start heating up and it's going to cause issues, potentially catch fire. So when in doubt, ask whoever you bought the gun from, if it's a store, maybe if it's a person, if they're a tech or something, but ask, hey, what kind of battery would you recommend for this motor, for this setup? If you put it in a DMR, okay, you're probably going to want a pretty high discharge rate, because that is probably a high torque motor with a decent spring. It's going to use more energy to draw back that spring and fire it. Something like this, bone stock internally, AK, okay, that's not such a big deal. So why Lipo? So the first thing is smaller packages, as you can see right here, okay, smaller, right? They're not, the Lipo isn't too much smaller milliamp hours, but it is, and it's only a 7.4, but look how small that is, okay? So, that's a good thing. You tend to get more, if these batteries were the same size, the Lipo would probably be a higher voltage, depending on, what I buy, or what you buy. It's probably going to be a higher voltage. It's definitely going to have a higher milliamp hours than the stick battery, and it'll probably have a higher discharge rate than this buffer tube battery does. So that is some things to consider. You can also get ones that fit in PEC boxes. You can get all sorts of them. So the other reason is because it has a snappier trigger response. So let me throw this battery in. Now, unloaded, no magazine, battery in, okay? Point it in a safe direction. It is on semi. So you can see, okay, not bad. On full auto, should have given a headphone warning, but you should also have expected that. So then the Lipo, now again, should I have MOSFET? Yes, it does have a fuse, if that helps, but I should have a MOSFET, but I'm only going to fire a couple rounds. So Lipo connected, so semi. Okay, a little bit faster, but where it's probably going to be more noticeable is going to be on full auto. Okay, so back on safe, battery comes out. So even though it's 7.4, because of how the batteries work, the discharge rate you get out of the 7.4 or out of the Lipo versus the normal stick battery, having a little bit of issues with my mock charging handle. Don't drop your AKs from high places, like on a wall. Okay. Because of the higher discharge rate, it is going to be snappier on semi-auto and a faster rate of fire on full auto, generally speaking, even though it's technically putting out less voltage. Okay, so that is something to consider. Again, also with a higher discharge rate battery, I could throw it into DMR. Okay, so there's a lot of advantages. The disadvantage is, generally speaking, going to be price. Because you need a MOSFET, which I recommend, what I personally recommend is one that attaches to the battery cables between the battery and the gun itself. So that way you can switch it in and out between guns. If you're just getting into Lipo, that way you only need one. But a lot of guns, like this one, comes with the micro trigger in there, which is just an electronic button that the trigger presses. Okay, so I don't really need to protect the trigger contacts on that. What I'm looking for on this one is to protect the battery itself. So, and most will do that. You can get fairly inexpensive battery warning indicators or battery drain indicators that just plug into your cables, and that'll work just fine. You don't need to go in and get like $60, you have to solder it in kind of MOSFET. You don't need a high-end one. You just need one that protects your battery and lets you know, hey, it's time to change battery. Okay, so you need a MOSFET. That's going to be X amount. You need something to prevent it from burning down your house. Ammo can would probably be your cheapest, or a bag of some kind. So you're talking a price for that. You're talking batteries, which for the same battery size, not talking physical space, but the same milliamp hours, voltage, and things like that. Generally speaking, they're going to be more expensive than these nickel metal hydrides. Okay. The chargers are going to be more expensive. You can get a charger like that for the nickel metal hydride ones, about $20-25. The Lipo battery ones start at like 27-ish. So it's a little bit more expensive there. You're talking probably $10-15 more per battery for this same voltage and milliamp hours. So it's going to be a little more expensive there. Plus your burn bag and your MOSFET, right? So it's a little bit more expensive on the startup. Also, you do run the risk of burning down your house, burning down your gun, something like that. So there is an issue there as well. So is it worth it? Well, that's up to you. A little bit more performance, better trigger response, smaller package. maybe a much bigger performance if you go over to like an 11 one, but then you're also talking about switching out motors and gears on a lot of guns, or at least the cheaper ones. So is it worth it? To me, yes. To everyone, no. If I was going to a milsim, I'd probably bring the 2 Lipo batteries that I have, plus, normal nickel metal hydride batteries, in case the Lipo ones go down, something like that. If you asked me, 10 years ago, would I say is it worth it? I'd say no, probably not. But nowadays, it's cheap enough, and the science has come along enough that, sure, I'd say if it is something that interests you, go for it. So yeah, that's about all I wanted to say. I'm fairly new to Lipos. This is my first set of Lipo batteries and chargers. So if I got anything wrong, please leave that down in the comments, and so other people know that I got it wrong. As I progress, I might do another video as I learn more or try different batteries or something like that. I might do a different video, but until next time, stay safe and stay hydrated.